Right, okay, hi everybody. This is really quite embarrassing because I thought we were going to be able to get this going, but none of us have managed to get online. So, yeah, I know, technology rocks. I think what I'm going to have to do is, because I can't get Stan on, and really this is the Stan show, to be honest. I'm going to put this over here. And I'm just going to talk. So, if you've bothered to still stay on this, then thank you for persevering. Stan's right, we're at a tech event. Oh, hold on. There he is, by himself.
Right for me.
Okay, so hopefully, I'm not getting an echo, am I, Stan?
A little bit, but we'll put through. Hey there, Martin. Hope you mean Adam.
I'll go somewhere else because I've got my laptop.
Mark
right, let's
Coleman
talk, man.
owes us 50 quid. He arranged the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, absolutely.
We paid a lot of money to be here.
Okay, so
we got no internet connection.
I know,
Mark,
absolutely.
Mark, if you ever
so
see
let's
this,
talk. Tell me. That's right. That's right. So let's talk about marketing and talent acquisition. What are the most important things, Stan? You know all about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really starting to take shape like it did a few decades ago, really, in products and services. It's surprising that it took a while. I think the most important thing right now for many people to understand is how to position it into your overall talent acquisition strategy. That is not a silver bullet that will just solve everything, and that there are actually some really intricate things you got to keep in mind to make it successful. And yeah, that's something that I hope to be able to tackle with you today, Adam.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay. So, what have you? We're at Unleash World Congress. I think it's the biggest HR tech event in the world, and it's a pretty amazing, event. And just to know if there's anything that you've seen that you've since you've been here.
So I've seen a ton of interesting things. I think where last year it was all about everywhere. Right now it seems to be more about candidate experience and employee journeys. They're taking, getting most of the attention. Marketing is still very prominently present here, with a lot of CRM tools, marketing automation tools, advertising channels that are being represented. And what I like myself a lot is these psychometrics type of organizations are coming into the field, really mapping out behavior and interests, because that's obviously, for us marketeers, something that we can target on in the near future. So yeah, exciting.
Okay, let's talk about something really specific. Let's talk about a funnel, because you and I are both big fans of a pipeline or a funnel. So let's talk about the whole concept of your candidates and moving them through the funnel, and what the top of the funnel, and the middle of the funnel, and the bottom of the funnel means, because I think that'll help people to understand really the VONQ way of thinking, which is basically the same as the candidate ID way of thinking.
Right. So the way we look at the funnel is that at the top of the funnel is all about just generating impressions, showing that you exist, sending out quick content that's easy to digest in the form of visuals and in the form of banners and little pieces of text. Then pull people through that actually engage with them to more in-depth content, like day in the life videos, what's it like to work at a company, meeting the team, and then finally advertising the actual opportunities at specific employers. Before and in between, there's a whole nurturing process that needs to take place. Once candidates engage with a company, they are usually not ready to switch jobs right away. Most people that engage with companies are still in a contract for maybe an indefinite time, or a year, or 6 months, or a quarter. Well, what do you do with that data? What do you do with these people? You need to nurture them, and I think that's where VONQ and candidate ID go hand in hand.
Tell us a bit about programmatic advertising and how it all works, because a lot of people still have questions about it. They know it's a term that's important. They need to know about it, but put it into simple terms. How does it all work?
In the simplest form, back in the day, you had humans that used to advertise in different places to test out how these advertisements perform, and then using their human intuition and the human analytical skills to determine which channels to keep utilizing, which to dump, and how much to invest in them. And these days, that process can, for a part, on some channels be handled by robots, by algorithms that automatically make assumptions, that automatically analyze performance, and they decide to double down on specific strategies or move away from them. And that's basically what programmatic advertising is. It's like all other programmatic things. It's automating a human process in order to make it more fast, reliable, and measurable.
What are the most important components that people need to be thinking about? Because obviously advertising is one feature of that. What are the other marketing technologies or marketing procedures that your customers are mainly thinking about?
If you look at how to approach a marketing strategy, it actually never starts with technology. Technology is just there to support you in the execution of your marketing strategy. It always starts with finding out who you really are, I mean, not to get philosophical, but I think there's a Greek saying, "Know thyself." That's the most important thing, and it couldn't be more true in marketing, because in marketing, it's all about communicating your brand, your culture, what it's like to be part of it, and finding the people that feel that they want to be part of that, feel they want to commit to that. So you can't just start advertising some of these else content, or just copy paste another company's success unless it looks exactly like you. It will probably be successful and get the wrong people in, people that don't fit your specific profile. So it starts with research.
Yeah. And in terms of the kind of main challenges that, I mean, your customers are kind of like mine, that's all talent acquisition directors and people like that. What are the main challenges that they have around adopting marketing sort of mindset within your team?
There's a lot. There's a lot of them, but I think well, one of the main challenges is that only for the last few years, is specific employer branding jobs being created within recruitment teams. Beforehand, marketing and branding were two separate animals within companies that didn't communicate that much. So most of the procedures, the principles, the processes that internal marketing teams already utilize to sell products and services, or to communicate internally even, it could be used for recruitment, but a lot of talent acquisition directors have trouble understanding them and getting aligned with their internal branding and communication teams. So a really easy to understand example is that, for example, a luxury car brand that builds $1 million vehicles and sells them to multimillionaires across the globe, obviously has a totally different target audience to sell their products to than the people that actually built the products, the engineers, the manufacturing workers. Those are different type of people that live different type of lives. So it would be strange to use the same communication methods to try and attract the people that build the cars as you're using to communicate your brand to the people that buy the cars. But what I hear often is that this branding police, how many talent acquisition directors or even employer branding people call it, comes along and just says that a certain employer brand initiative or content piece doesn't align with the consumer brand or with the B2B brand. And in my opinion, they shouldn't have to, because it's different target audiences. But a lot of people have trouble aligning those, or getting the the authority to actually communicate from an employer brand directly.
So when it comes to, so you're talking about the different types of people that might buy a particular luxury car and who probably won't buy the luxury car. When we're thinking about attracting candidates, of course, everybody's different. And of course, people in different types of jobs are going to behave differently, for example, as well. So how should companies be thinking about segmenting the different messages and the different kind of personas and audiences that they're communicating with?
So what we see is that there should be some kind of overarching brand with an overarching purpose, with an overarching culture. But within those brands, for example, if you're recruiting across the globe, then there are so many different cultures, so many different nationalities, that would be impossible to communicate in exactly the same way. So they have to find a way to glocalize, to make your brand appealing on a global level, but localize the way you communicate about it. And the same counts for a company that's working in one country, for example, but in different cities or in different departments. You need to communicate in a different way when you're trying to attract people to join your IT department than when you're trying to attract people to join your sales department or your finance department, because these people are usually intrinsically susceptible to different type of forms of communication. And you have to find out what those are.
Yeah, I mean, I know that very well. We've got customers who are actually, they put a scoring model into candidate ID to try and determine which people are hot for opportunities, they put a completely different scoring model in for salespeople versus software engineers. So yeah, it's something that is the way that I split it up is 3 different levels. So I think about volume, and then what I call qualified volume, which is there's still lots of people, but they've got a particular skill set that's in high demand. And then, of course, there's like executive level hiring, and you've got to take a different approach for all 3 levels. Then you've got to start thinking about the different different kind of job profiles and things and how they behave, and they all behave differently. Audra's said that she's actually hiring a digital marketer for her team. She's very excited. Stan, one thing I see happening every single week is internal talent acquisition teams and agency teams who are reshaping their organization structure. And so instead of maybe 10 people that are filling jobs, they've maybe got 6 people that are filling jobs and 4 people that are dedicated to the pipeline and dedicated to recruitment marketing. Those 6 people are filling more jobs as a result of getting fed with higher ready candidates. Is this a trend that you're seeing as well?
Yes, absolutely, and it's something that's proven itself as well in marketing and sales, where we say that 4 + 1 is more than 5, and by that we mean that 5 salespeople together usually underperform compared to 4 salespeople and a marketeer behind that, and that counts for hiring as well. But there's another big misconception about marketing, and that stems from the fact that there's a sort of obsession within talent acquisition with the short term. I mean, most talent acquisition teams would like to take a more strategic approach, would like to invest in marketing, but they're still extinguishing fires. We needed these hires today. We needed these hires last week. So what we focus our marketing on, what we focus our sourcing on, is a short term, is driving applications. While there are many roles that people just don't apply for. I mean, if you're a software engineer, if you're actually a digital marketeer, if you're a highly skilled person, then you don't really have to apply to get a job, right? You can get a job tomorrow in the economy we're living in today. So what do you do as a sourcing team to make these people find you an attractive employer, a destination to go to? That's where you position marketing into just spreading the word, showing the brand, showing success stories, showing daily lives, showing how nice it is to work in that position at that company, and not by just talking about the company, but talking about projects you're involved in, talking about what sets you apart, how that makes you feel. But then it's up to the sourcing team to reach out and get these people to engage with the company. I would even advise not to advertise jobs. I would rather say get people to leave some data behind about them because they like what you're saying, and nurture them through email marketing, through online marketing, through events even, and get them excited about working for you. And at a point when you reach a critical mass, when somebody thinks, all right, I really like that, then have a chat about their, not about joining the company, but why they were interested in a certain piece of content or why they applied for an event, and get the conversation going that way. Usually that will resonate much better with the potential candidate, because they don't feel that they are being sold to, but it will get them thinking about working for a company. I think that's how marketing and sourcing should work together, the same way good sales teams work together with their marketing team.
Yeah, okay, so that's interesting. I was on stage at Sourcing Summit Europe last year, and in front of 300 sourcers, I told them all, your jobs are almost going to be redundant any minute, and you need to retrain. I said, you need to retrain as data analysts and marketers. And I've got to be honest, a lot of them came over to me afterwards and went, yeah, you were right. You are right. We know that, because finding people is no longer the hard thing. Nurturing them, getting them to apply, giving them enough of your brand that they want to apply is actually the thing that's the hardest thing to do today. One other thing that I found really interesting at True Amsterdam a couple of weeks ago was one of your local recruiters here, Eva Balukova, told me, I spend 50% of my time sourcing and 50% of my time doing things so that I do not need to source. And I thought that's a really, really interesting way of putting it. And if sourcers were able to spend 50% of their time doing things to nurture their talent pool, and doing smart marketing and advertising related things, then they will progressively remove the necessity to go and find net new people. And cold calling, as far as I'm concerned, cold calling, whether that's by phone or by email or by any other social media or whatever, is the biggest waste of time in recruitment, and it takes up about 50% of a recruiter's day. So if you can remove that, and you've got hire ready candidates who want to work for you, then that's a really, really big
That's
win.
when you make your recruitment efforts more effective, or your sourcing efforts more effective, because you only reach out to people that have either engaged with your content, landed on your website, watched the video. You can quite easily track all this data, but you got to get people to opt in, and the only way that people will opt in into leaving information about them behind is what you're giving them in exchange is relevant to them. So it's extremely important to be relevant in the way you present yourself. And a job just isn't that special anymore. And a job at your company isn't either.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter how big your brand is, no matter how where you're based, if you're the center of Manhattan or London or Paris, people aren't that interested in that anymore. Startups, scale-ups are getting some magnificent talent to go their way. So if you're at a scale-up, or if you're a startup, or if you're in an enterprise, it's up to you to find out what your specific target audience loves. And the way to do that isn't to go external, it's actually to look inside, the same way you would have to find out what you like as a person yourself by asking yourself these questions a few times in your life and reflect on what you're doing. The best way to find out what your people are made of, what they like, what resonate with them, is by actually going into the work floor and having interviews, just having chats, have 15 qualitative interviews with the same type of people and the same type of department or target audience. Then map out the similarities between them to create like a basic archetype of the candidate you want to attract, your first basic persona. Then validate the assumptions you've made and the similarities you've mapped by running a survey. You can do this using free survey services like or cheap like MailChimp or whatever. And once you've done that, you should have a pretty clear picture of what a salesperson at your company, or software developer at your company, or a financial professional at your company, what sets them apart from the same type of people at different companies, and why they work for you. By asking the right questions. And then what you need to do after that is create the right content. And please don't do it by yourself as well. Create a bunch of content. Brainstorm for 2 days, create as much as you can, and then go back to the people you've interviewed, or send the same people that replied to your survey the content, and let them rate the content, what they really like, what resonates with them or not. And that's the stuff that you put budget behind. That's the stuff that you start putting it on social media with some budget behind it, retargeting through Google. That's when the whole game starts to become fun, because you're using content that has been validated by the people that you want to attract.
Yeah, absolutely. So one other question I've got about that specific topic is, what type of content do you see that's driving the most demand? Simon, we'll come on to your question in a minute about GDPR. But Stan, what type of content do you see driving the most demand and the most interest with potential candidates?
Incredibly. So let me give you 2 examples, because these are both really cool. We ran 2 campaigns recently. One was with Scott Johnson at Reddington, and Scott got an impossible assignment from his CTO. He needed to hire a full tech team, 5 people, including a lead, in a city they've never advertised or never sourced in. Nobody knew of their brand. And he needed them in 6 weeks. So instead of sourcing, blasting the phone, emailing, it's
typical.
Oh man, instead of doing
typical
all that
requirement.
stuff, instead of blasting out emails, scraping CV database, and doing all that, not really effective stuff, what he decided to do is do an event around fintech with purpose. Because what Reddington tries to do is get 100 million people financially secure, and the content that they use were banners based around that. So where others see the code, we see the change. Their creative director worked on that, Nick, great guy. Fintech with purpose, fintech for good, and the whole event was around serverless cloud computing. So what we did for them We didn't advertise the jobs, we didn't advertise Reddington, and then we only advertised the event. Long story short, 1.4 million people saw the banners, 5,000 views, 95 people registered, and the guy hired 5 people in a month out of the 95 registrations, not by calling them and asking them whether they would like to work for Reddington, but by calling them, thanking them for registering for the event, and asking them what inspired them about FinTech for Good, what they like about serverless cloud computing.
Yeah.
So these were couples. But let me give you a totally different audience to show you how the content can differ. So these were videos, banners, and Eventbrite. Let me tell you about Q Green, another highly sophisticated, talented lady. Natasha Nagra is running branding there. And she ran a campaign with us focusing apprentices. They needed to hire.
Where is she? She's around here somewhere.
She should be here somewhere. So she needed to hire 39 apprentices over, I think, a multitude of locations, 6 or 9 locations in the UK. And they were trying to blast out content using Facebook and Instagram. And, you know, we had a chat that they won a prize also, so they had some budget to spend with us. We had a chat and asked her, so what was the demographics of these apprentices? Turns out they were between 16 and 19 years old. So we said, these people aren't on Facebook and Instagram. You know, they're on Snapchat, and they're not watching movies or banners. You know, they're looking at GIFs that you need to swipe up. That's how they're. Yeah, I'm still there. Are you? You're still there.
I'm not sure who's frozen, whether it's him or it's me. I'm going to just talk. I'm going to answer Simon's question. Do you see GDPR as a barrier in setting up talent pools within Europe? Yeah, no, you've frozen, Stan. Oh. Hold on. So you can hear me? Okay, hold on. I'm going to refresh.
Yeah, I'm there. Can you hear us? Test. Is better? Yeah, all right. So apparently people can hear me, Adam. So I'm gonna move on to Q Green. So they needed apprentices, and they found out, you know, these people aren't on Facebook and Instagram. They're using Snapchat. They only like really easy to digest content that they can swipe up. So what Natasha did, she created something called the Recipe for Success, where she advertised it as, how would you like to get a paid apprenticeship and become a chef in 3 years? And she used a GIF of someone stirring a pot that we advertised through Snapchat, that we advertised through email shots with my first apprentice job and my first job, I think. And it led straight away to it was a job description, but it was fully structured as a recipe, as a cooking recipe for becoming a chef. So needless to say, that this resonated really well with people who were actually thinking about doing that. And, you know, Snapchat created 700,000 views in a month. Wow. And I think they hired all but 3 apprentices, so 36 people in a month's time. How much time would that have cost her blasting ads on the wrong job boards, you know, or sitting on the wrong social media, or using the wrong content, you know, using long videos? You know, these kids basically they have attention spans of 7 seconds. You show them a GIF, if they swipe up, you have 1 second to grab their attention. Totally different than coders, though. Coders want to go to an event. They want to learn more about their craft. So what type of content works? Well, Adam, I can't tell you that until you give me the type of company, the type of people at the company, and what works for them. So it starts with research, then it goes into the message. Once you get the message right, you need to find out where people are, what channels are they using. Also, by asking questions or leveraging data like you can do with us or many other advertising agencies. They can usually give you even some of the data for free because it helps us basically sell the campaign right. And that's where you come in. So to answer the GDPR thing, how do you handle GDPR? By getting people to want to talk to you. If they give you their data because you're relevant enough for them, there's no problem with GDPR. You just can't keep their data if they don't want to, which is great. It forces employers, it forces everyone, it forces me and my team when we're selling this service to be relevant and to make sure that people want to engage with us. And it's taking marketing and sales, whether it's of product and services or recruitment, to the next level. So it's awesome.
Yeah, so Simon's question, do you see GDPR as a barrier in setting up talent pools within Europe? My answer to that is yes, it is a huge barrier for people that don't know how to interact with it. So what I mean by that is, as Stan just said, if you are giving people things that they want, they're going to want to keep receiving that stuff, and they're going to want to keep, they're not going to unsubscribe because it's useful and relevant for them. So got to be really good call to action, really good content, things that are going to help them with their career. What we find is, according to LinkedIn, 80% of potential candidates are not on the market looking for a job. So what you need to do is give them things that are going to help them with their career. My data says that things like skills, industry insights, things that are going to help them be better at their job, things that are not authored by recruiters, things that are authored by hiring managers, as in people who they want to be, whose job they want to have in the future, is something that inspires them. And as an example, if I'm a strategy consultant and I'm getting content once a week from the head of strategy consulting at McKinsey, I'm going to want to keep receiving that because I'm going to want an insight into that person's mind and what they're prioritizing. So content that's useful and relevant means that they're going to keep wanting to receive that information. One thing, here's a quick advert, Simon. Using Candidate ID, you can track and score what everybody's doing. And what that means is that you can show ongoing legitimate business interest for keeping those people's details. If you can't see what they're doing and how they're interacting with your content, they've maybe opted in once, but is that grounds to keep their data forever? Probably not. It depends. If you're in Germany, it definitely isn't. So Stan, one more question is, Audra's hiring a digital marketing manager. My question for you is, what do you think the top 3 objectives for that person should be?
Thoroughly getting to know Audra's company and culture on each and every level, like you described, from executive down to starter and everything in between. Thoroughly getting to know all the different cultures within the company, all the subcultures, what drives people, what motivates them, what makes them proud to be at the company, what were their best moments, how that makes them feel, how the company is moving them forward in their lives and their careers, capturing that in really good content. And then you mentioned calls to actions, CTAs. Let's grab those by the throat for a minute, because I'm getting I'm amazed about the terrible quality of many call to action campaigns.
That is such a stand phrase, by the way.
Yeah.
That is such a stand phrase. Call to actions, let's grab them by the throat.
So let me tell you what's happening. Who else is getting bored of this apply now? It's the same thing as buy now. If you're exploring a product, let's say you're exploring a car. A car is something that you, whether you're leasing or buying, right? You drive it 4 to 7 years and then you switch it, right? And it will impact your life and it will impact your income. So it's the same thing with a job. And who goes online, looks at a car, unless you're a billionaire or a multimillionaire, you're not going to see any calls to action under the car that says buy now. And you go into a checkup process to buy your new car. So why the heck are we advertising jobs with a tagline, with a call to action, apply now? Share your resume, talk to a recruiter. Why not make it much more soft? Why not find out more? Learn more about the team. Learn more about the company. Learn that sort of stuff. Just calls to actions that point into people's curiosity. If you find out that people click through to your job page, they click through to your company page, why not let them find out more about a specific subject in the company? You can even click through to the subject that you like to discuss. And then that's why I think the sourcing team comes into play again. Because then when you get your recruiter, your sourcing specialist to pick up the phone, to have a chat with this person, not about do you want to apply next week or next month, but just by starting with asking a question. What do you like to learn more about? And why is this interesting for you? How did you engage with our company? This helps a sourcing specialist or recruitment professional to sell the opportunity of being part of that company. So it's way softer, but I think it's much more effective than just blasting out these short-term calls to actions about making a decision right away. Strategic people usually don't do this. They think about stuff. Sure, in high volume, short-term roles, it might make sense. But in specialized roles, I don't see that happening that quickly.
I've got one. I agree with all of that, all of it. I've got one additional thing, which for Audra's digital marketing manager, and that is that person should not be responsible for making nice design, and well, they should be, but that shouldn't be their priority. Their priority should be moving the pipeline. It should be moving the candidate pipeline. It should be taking strangers and turning them into applicants, and that's what that person should be measured on. Not any of the soft marketing metrics, on hard data, on how many strangers have become applicants this month. And that's what that person should be. It should be all data led.
How many engaged with someone in the organization? Why is it always why is it always recruiters? Why is it always recruiters that have to talk to these people? Why can't hiring managers tell someone that wants to learn more about a key position, tell them more about the job? And if you go back to content, it shouldn't be neatly designed at all. We've all been conditioned. Look at this webinar. We've all been conditioned to look at these mediocre quality, broken up audio, selfie vlog type of videos and pictures. Because, well, if you've been born after 2000, then that's most of the content you see. But even us people that have been around for a longer period of time are being conditioned to look at authentic content created by real people. Sure, you can have some high quality stuff to advertise your overall brand or something like that. But the more unpolished, real and genuine things you can share, the better. I think Simon Rutter says it really well. You need to have a few high quality content pieces in a low volume, but you need to have a high volume of semi or low quality pieces that are really authentic and coming from the people that the candidates want to listen to. And those aren't the marketeers. They want to listen to the people from the work floor and the people that are going to manage them and help them. And that's the content you should create. That's what will move people through your pipeline.
Stan, my phone's ringing, so I can't really hear anything, and I don't know why. Hold on a second. I heard the last of all of that. Okay, right, I'm back now. It was my wife, and I've cut her off. One other question I've got for you is: you're into advertising, you know all about it. Indeed is front page news in recruitment all the time at the moment. What's going on with Indeed? Have they kicked recruitment agencies off of their platform? What's the deal? What's all the news?
So if Indeed wants to earn a buck for the services they deliver, and they're performing well, I don't see why not, to be honest, from a marketing perspective. I think they've been giving away a lot of value for free. But yeah, I'm wondering how that will play out, with other players coming into the market, see if anybody steps in that space. I read an article today that Uber is stepping into the talent acquisition space in the lower, higher flexibility demanding roles like warehousing and call centers and maintenance mechanics, that sort of stuff. Interesting leap. We'll see how they'll play out. But for Indeed to think, hey, we're providing a service of value, to say, we want to get paid for that. It makes sense to me.
Yeah, but are Indeed not being basically switched off?
To be honest, I wouldn't know.
What's
I know that
happening
Google
with that?
does an amazing job in marketing as well, and in profiling too. We leverage both Indeed and Google on a frequent basis at VONQ, and we both see them delivering a really high level of service. I think you're speaking about two of the most important brands and service providers in our industry. So really eager to see how that competition, how that will play out. I think the only way that it can is that they will all have to step up their game, which is great for advertisers like us and also for platforms like your own.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Sorry, I've just walked outside because the disco started up in the background there. This is a quick message for Lindsay Shanklin, because I know you're on the webinar here. As a fellow Scot, I just wanted to show you that I'm absolutely on brand today with my utility kilt. I hope you would enjoy that one. I also wanted to say yeah, no. I'm coming to see you in a minute and make sure that you understand it's not a skirt.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, Stan, we could talk about this all day. You and I have got a real overlap in interests, and I wanted to just thank you very much for your time. For everybody that's stayed on till now, I'm really, really sorry about all of our technical problems. I'm sorry we started late, a whole bunch of different reasons. Stan had a very important talent acquisition director using his all his equipment and stuff up until about 1:15, so that was one of the reasons. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me, Stan. I really enjoyed talking to you as always. Thanks everybody for your comments and your questions, and look forward to the next talent talk, which is about candidate experience. So have fun, everybody. Bye for now.